Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today, I want to talk to you about when things happen in our lives that we don't expect or that we don't like, and how we always have to stay aware of the experiences around us. There is a part of life that, no matter what we're experiencing, always pulls us forward. Sometimes it pulls us into the moment, sometimes it gives us a sign how life will change. Or sometimes it just gives us an opportunity that we didn't expect, even when life is tough. And we forget that not only can things change, that we are part of life. And that's what happens. When we get upset, we separate ourselves from life itself. But we are not separate. And each experience will bring out new qualities in ourselves and things we didn't realize or things we never expected. And we will evolve as life evolves. Just the other day, I was very upset. My daughter called and she banged her head. And she had a concussion years ago. And this concussion caused her a lot of problems. She wasn't able to read well for a few months. She had headaches and dizziness for almost 6 months. And so when she banged her head at school, the past automatically came up for me, thinking about the experience, how difficult it was. And I felt myself getting very upset and stressed. And when I walked outside, it happened to be beautiful outside. One of the first spring days when it's 70 degrees out. And all of a sudden I saw these flowers, these beautiful tulips that someone had planted outside my building. And there's something about those tulips that made me feel that life was calling me forward to the moment. And I realized my mind was thinking about the past and I was worried about the future, but I didn't know what was going to happen with my daughter. But when I saw those tulips, life was pulling me into the now. And there was something about that. There was something so energizing and so beautiful and so pretty that I was able to merge again with life itself and the experience that was in front of me. Things are always growing, and then things die, and then new things grow again. So this experience with my daughter could be new, could be similar, but there was a cycle. And whatever that cycle would be, I would find the strength to be with whatever experience came my way. I also remember when my mom was sick. She had cancer, we were in Florida. And it was a very difficult day. We were in the hospital all day. She had a blood clot. They needed to change her port. And I had been in the hospital for about 6 hours. And I remember walking out of the hospital just for some air. And again, it was so beautiful outside. And there were people walking and they were laughing and they were driving. And at first I got so angry. How dare the sun shine when my mom is sick? How dare those people laugh when I'm having all this pain? Yet even in that moment, I saw that life was moving forward. And I had a choice. I could sit in the pain of my mom being sick, or I could merge with the moment, with the experience I was having. As I allowed myself to merge with it, I was experiencing life as it was happening. And there was something very hopeful about that. Because when we allow life to take us places, we don't get stuck. The stuckness comes from the fear that life won't get better and things won't work out and we will never be happy again. But there are always signs around us. Let life show you the signs. How things keep moving, how things keep changing. And know that as things change and they move, you will move with them if you're open enough to see it happening in front of you. And even though you might not have the strength today or the know-how today or the experience today, life will guide you in that direction if you're willing to take the ride. And I've seen so many people that go through hard times that let life guide them, that let life inspire them, that they get through things quicker. I remember I once had a client who really wanted to change his life. And after working at a firm for a very long time, he lost his job. And believe it or not, he had a meeting with an old client that afternoon. And he decided not to cancel it. He decided to move with life. And I'm not kidding you, he got an offer from that client for a job that day. Now, this man did not get an offer from anybody for 10 years, but the day he got fired was the day he got hired. Now, yes, things don't always work out that way. Sometimes something happens to us, and it takes such a long time for things to change. So we just need to look for the signs that life is showing us. And sometimes it's as simple as a tulip. And sometimes it's a job opportunity, and sometimes it's more long and complicated, and it takes a lot of heartbreak and a lot of hard work and new beginnings. But look for what life is showing you. I even remember I took a trip to Costa Rica with my family, and I had just written The Gift of Maybe, and I had an offer. I had a verbal offer from a large publisher, and we were on a boat in the middle of Costa Rica on some body of water. It was a beautiful day, and an email came through that the publishing house backed out. It was an email from my agent. And in that moment, again, the sun was shining, and we were going to an animal refuge. And my family was there, and they were laughing and they were happy, and everything was so beautiful. And I felt that pull that life was calling me. Life was calling me forward. Yes, my book wasn't going to get published, but here I was in the moment. Life was asking me to merge into that moment to enjoy this beautiful time with my family. And I remember it took me about 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, the beauty of that moment just brought me forward. And what's so interesting is I went into Maybe, and I didn't spend a minute ever being upset about that publisher withdrawing again. And I believe that beautiful moment would lead to another and another, and somehow I would figure it out. In that moment, I had no idea how I'd get my book published. I had gotten rejected so many times. I didn't know how many more opportunities there would be. But I knew as life had brought me that beautiful moment, things would keep changing, and I would change with life as life gave me new experiences. And as I shared many times before, after 45 rejections, I ended up self-publishing my book. And then one day I gave my book away for free, and I went on the bestseller list. And a few weeks later, I was in a meeting, and just like that email came in Costa Rica when I was on the water, an email came in when I was at that meeting. And I opened it up, and it was from my book agent, and Penguin Random House had given me an offer to buy my book. And there it was, life pulling me forward again for a new experience. And it's not that the new experience means nothing's ever going to happen again that you don't like. I have a second book that I'm having trouble getting published and a third book that I'm working on. It just all keeps moving. But I look for the signs where life is telling me to go. And I merge with the moment and with the experiences and the beauty. And I know when the time is right, I will have the tools or the know-how to take the next step forward on my path. And the same goes for you. So if you're suffering from heartbreak or a lost job or an illness or anything that's going on in your life or problems with your children, just try not to get stuck in this one problem, because life is calling you. Life calls all of us through good times and through bad times. It keeps changing and things keep moving. But when we miss the signs of life reminding us of what is precious in the moment, and we get so caught in the past and worrying about the future, we separate from life. When life is just calling us to merge with it, merge with the moment, see what there is to learn, see what there is to enjoy, and allow new experiences to come to you. Life is always calling us forward, and it's only us that likes to stand still. We like to say, this is my life, and this is who I am, and this is what I do. But there's a stuckness to that because we lose jobs, we get hurt, we doubt ourselves, things don't always work out. And if we're so stuck how we thought life would be, and when life calls us forward to look at a tulip or a new opportunity or to meet somebody new, we need to be open to that and know that life gives us clues to move forward. Tiny ones, big ones, and sometimes it takes a lot of time for life to change again. And don't be afraid, because when the new experience comes, you'll be ready for it, because life will guide you. We separate from life because we're afraid of what will be. But when we realize we're one with life and we're one with every new experience, we find the strength, because we know when the time is right, new possibilities will appear, ones that we are ready for, that we can continue on our life's path and find the joy and peace and the strength to live our best lives. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you like this podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes and also leave a comment.